Special guest Taylor Hicks, your American Idol winner, of course. Can you believe, Taylor, it's been 17 years since American Idol? Man, what the hell just happened to us, man?
Oh, well, I tell you what, it's been a ride. And I from playing, harmonica and singing in studios where we all grew up playing, and I grew up playing in Birmingham. I never thought 17 years. I mean, I'm probably coming up on about 30 years in show business, to be honest with you, leaving home at about 17 or 18, and 17 years of being in the business and actually really trying to create a career out of it. I'm proud of it.
Well, now you're a businessman. I mean, you have a restaurant, you started your own record label, you're in TV shows, you've had TV shows, and I'll ask you some more stuff about that. But if I told you you'd be doing what you're doing right now 17 years after you won American Idol, about right? Feel pretty good about it? I mean, you're killing it, man.
Well, I don't say no to anything,
yeah.
And that's probably going to end up killing me. But,
yeah.
I mean, I've never really turned down work. I don't know how to, and to be honest with you, I've watched, I watched your work ethic and a lot of people that I grew up around and stuff. I mean, your gigs. Your gigs were you were on 24 hours a day, man. I mean, I watched all of that, and it helps.
Yeah.
It helped me. It helped me realize that, when you have an opportunity, then and you get work, you can't turn it down, or you're going to be going back to the Floribama.
There were some times where, quite frankly, I felt like I was in Alaska, where it was like dark for 4 or 5 night on end. I mean, it just was. And you just kept working, and adrenaline's a wonderful thing, not to mention some other things, but it got us through a lot of things. I did want to mention something. We have the City of Brookwood celebration. Brookwood's now officially becoming a city, and you're going to be playing out there this Saturday. Tab Cooley's playing some live entertainment. You're, of course, the headliner. I was asked by Mayor Joe Barger to be the master of ceremonies, and when I heard you were going to be there, it was I don't turn down work either, brother. I can't afford to turn down work. So when I heard you were going to be there, like, I'm in. I think I actually gave him a cut rate just because I knew I was going to run into you. And I ain't hugged your neck, man, in probably 4 or 5 years, so I'm looking forward to seeing you. But one of and I'm asked these questions all the time, top 5 concerts of all time, right? And I'm telling you right now, your show that I saw out in Las Vegas, and I believe it was at Bally's, or was that the first place you were at?
First place, and then it went to the Paris.
Yeah, and I brought my dad and my brother with me. And I will always tell them, not just because you were a good friend of mine, but because it was one of the best shows I've ever seen, period. The vibe was perfect. I was with my friends and family. You were 3 feet in front of me. It was just an unbelievable show. So anyone who gets a chance to check out Taylor Hicks in any atmosphere or environment, please do that. And we'll see you at the City of Brookwood. We'll talk about that coming up in just a few minutes. I did want to ask you, I don't know if you saw the video of Bono and The Edge playing down in the subway of Kiev on Sunday for just a small group of very, very lucky individuals for, of course, the Ukrainian people. And I think it's interesting in that there are so many celebrities and rock and roll stars now that are influencers. And you certainly are one of them. How do you deal with when people ask you questions about personal things, whether it be Ukrainian war, whether it be vaccination or no vaccination, or do you even cross into that area? Because it seems like the Ted Nugents of the world, the Adeles, they are really outspoken about how they feel from their personal standpoint, or do you just keep it music?
Well, I broke, the way that those entertainers and artists broke was a lot different. I had to be a politician and a musician and an entertainer.
Yeah.
Because people were voting for my ass either off the show or, it was either the outhouse or the White House for me,
yeah.
And so with what my dynamic was a little bit different because I idol contestants, I feel like, especially back then, because the show was massively popular, is that we were all kind of beaten into whatever you do, don't sway one way or the other, because A, it's not going to do you any good really,
yeah.
And B, you need all the votes that you can to stay on this television show. So I think I kind of when I got into show business, like truly, and started understanding, the dynamics of how it works and stuff. I mean, I always tell people that, the night that I won American Idol was the night that Alabama and Auburn fans actually agreed on something.
Yes, true.
So I mean, I'm not rocking any boats now. I mean, some of the hard questions that I've had to be asked by, people as far as vaccines, and I use practical sense when that situation arises when I get asked a question like that. But that's a subway station in Kiev is a pretty dangerous place, if you ask me.
And it was just fantastic that they even thought to do that. It was pretty amazing. Taylor Hicks joins us here on Tony Kurre Radio. And of course, we're going to be at the City of Brookwood celebration coming up on Saturday night. Starts at 5 o'clock. Gates open at 5 o'clock. It's free. Fireworks 9:30. Taylor Hicks will be taking the stage a little bit later on in the evening. Cannot wait to bring you on stage. I can't remember the last time I brought you on stage. It's probably been 10 or 15 years. So we're looking forward to that coming up here. We mentioned all the things you're into. In the 17 years since American Idol, you did create your own label. You were on Broadway. You're still doing Broadway, right? You're still doing some Broadway stuff?
Auditioning for, finding a role is, for me, luckily, I've because I've got a lot going on, I will get pitched roles. Now, whether that be Broadway roles or film or TV or theater, one really has to really, stand out. And just a case in point, I'm getting back on the road, trying to get a record done, trying to tour. I've got some shows, but I had a really, really cool part come up for the show Dope Sick.
Nice.
It was a really cool. I think it was one of the doctors or something on there. Although I'm a little bit of a hypochondriac. I think I might be able to play a doctor. I'm not sure, but those kinds of really cool looks are the things that I'm looking for as far as a role is concerned. And I mean, I've got a lot of work to do as an actor. I mean, luckily I got the opportunity to do Broadway, and I did some bits on Law and Order and stuff. So I've got a little bit of a resume going, but I've still got I've got an acting coach, and then nowadays people can they can audition from their home. They don't have to go anywhere. I mean, they got one of these. I got one of these ring lights that I can't figure out yet, but luckily I'm getting a little bit of traction in people that are interested in me actually being an actor. So.
You're an entertainer, so I know you feed off audiences. Do you prefer the Broadway aspect of it, where you get to see the response right away and it's live and you can't screw up, or do you prefer the television stuff?
Well, the one thing that I love about TV is that you could screw up and then you could go back and erase it, and start all over. If you forget a line, you can't do that on stage. I did a little show in Serenbe, Georgia. I was in Shenandoah. It was an old Jimmy Stewart movie, and they adapted it into a Broadway show in the 1970s and won a bunch of Tonys. And they hired me to be Charlie Anderson, which was the main lead. And I had probably one of the more extensive roles I've ever done. Actually, it was about 2 hours and 8 minutes of stage time, and the show was about 2 hours and 16.
Wow.
So, it took me a while to really understand, the live aspect of I popped out of an ice cream cone my first gig.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
I mean, and I mean, I had the easiest, that was, look, that was a great gig, but if you want serious actors in New York City to take you seriously,
don't pop out of an ice cream cone.
Don't take that gig.
You stole some thunder too, brother. I imagine there were some people on that cast that were not happy that you were part of Grease.
You know what? I mean, look, I couldn't help it. If they were in the same boat, they would have taken the gig in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But I mean, I rolled in. I rolled in the beginning of the second act. Didn't even have to get to the theater. I mean, rolled in, put on my big rhinestone studded suit,
Yes.
Loaded into the ice cream cone, had 15 minutes in that thing. And then when we took it on the road, I started getting bored and I started watching, I started listening. I had my phone in my jacket pocket. So I would be suspended in this ice cream cone, and I would actually call friends for college scores and stuff. And they're like, "It's a code call. Hey, he's calling from the cone again."
I loved it. When you came here and played Birmingham, man, that was fantastic because the play was so good. We're talking about Grease. The play was so good that for a short period of time, I forgot you were actually in it. And all of a sudden, you appear on top of stage 50 feet above the ground. It was fantastic. Taylor Hicks joins us right here on Tony Kurre Radio. We have a big celebration coming up here in the city of Brookwood. Coming this Saturday, Tab Cooley will open up. And, of course, you'll be playing a bunch of sets. Looking forward to a bunch of original music, some covers as well coming up. And I'll be your master of ceremonies. And, of course, you go to TaylorHicks.com, TaylorHicks.com for everything. I also see you're playing Protective Stadium coming up a little bit later on in July as well.
Yep, we're doing the opening ceremonies of the World Games.
Awesome.
I think that's going to be a really cool thing for Birmingham. And just, me growing up there and all of us growing up around that area, we had the soccer games come and for the Olympics and stuff. But I don't think a lot of us ever went over to the opening ceremonies or ever even got tickets to some sort of opening ceremonial production. A brand new stadium in Birmingham. You've got endless entertainers that have Alabama ties. You tie it all in with Lionel Richie. The concession stand hopefully will be up and moving pretty good.
Yeah, finally, yes.
But I think. All in all, I think it'll be a really, really fun. I mean, I've seen the work that people have put into this thing. Henry Panion, Nick Sellers, all of those folks that have really, really, and just from even just from the bottom to the top, the whole city has kind of embraced that World Games. And I think the closer it gets, I think the more interest will peak because I think sumo wrestling might be crowded.
There may be. They may take people out of the crowd for that one.
I mean,
yeah, absolutely. And I think Tony Kurre Radio is going to be a big part of that too. So I'm sure we'll probably see you down there that night as well.
Absolutely.
Taylor Hicks joins us right here on Tony Kurre Radio, the City of Brookwood celebration coming up on Saturday, and he's been kind enough to give us just a few minutes. Finally, I want to ask you, and I know you do a ton of covers. You obviously have a plethora of original material you could play. You could play from here until next Tuesday and not repeat a tune because you got so much stuff. But you do like to do covers. And I've asked you in the past if you could ever sing like somebody, who would it be? And you've told me Freddie Mercury in the past. You do, though, cover. You did a whole night down at the Lyrica with Rod Stewart songs over the Christmas holiday. How do you pick the tunes you do want to cover? Are they songs that you love? Are they songs you feel like you can cover well? Do you ever get outside your comfort zone? What is it?
All of them.
Yeah.
I know that there's a record that I've got to release soon. And I've really, honestly I've really got to batten down the hatches, get this record done. I've been working on it for 10 years, Tony. That's the last time that I've released.
It better be killer.
Original music. And yeah, I mean, I've, gone through the trials and tribulations of, owning, my own masters and stuff like that, which is, this is not easy. I would equate that to what you guys are doing. And that's starting radio in this new format, in this kind of cutting edge. You guys, I see similarities, and you kind of breaking away from the record labels.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you're owning your own stuff, which is important. But sometimes, man, it's tough. It's a rough way to go, but there's a lot of reward at the end of the tunnel. So it's going to be, and I'm going to be excited. But in the meantime, before I really start hammering people with. Because you play Tupelo Honey by Van Morrison, everybody's gonna like it. You play one of my filler songs off of the new record that I'm trying to get a full record done. Somebody might be turned off by it.
It's all killer, no filler, my friend.
Yeah. But right now, as the record cycle has been, and it's been a long valley of not having new music out. But in the meantime, in that valley, my goal was to, pick some artists that I love and really hammer some people. I mean, look, we're in a time period now in the business where, you've got the Black Crowes doing an album of songs from 1973.
Yep.
They're not playing hard to handle. They're not, so the idea of bringing back and playing just really great music, no matter who it's from, songs and stuff, I think it's a great thing. And for me, I love doing the Van Morrison stuff. I love doing the Bob Seger stuff. The Joe Cocker stuff is really good. And it's fun playing hits. I mean, you get to do it a lot. I mean, I would like to be playing my own hits, but there's a really small, niche of people that get to play hit after hit after hit. So, as you're trying to get more hits out there, play somebody else's. That's kind of my mantra.
Hey, finally, what is one thing that you have not done that you would like to do in your career? I mean, you've been a restaurant owner, you've done record labels, you've done TV shows, you've done Broadway, you're a musical expert, you can do whatever you want to do, and you're pretty much, and again, you're blazing your own trail here, which I think is fantastic. But is there anything you have not done yet that you'd like to get after? Are you playing guitar, by the way? The last time I saw you were chicken picking the guitar. You getting after pretty good now?
Yeah. Good. These are all working. It's funny. These are all working guitars. I actually have hangers for them in my house, and I actually just have gotten over the COVID, and these things got a pretty good workout while I was sitting around watching a tree grow. Hopefully, getting better, which I am. But I think what's interesting about coming off of the show of American Idol when I did was it was just a singing competition. Mm-hmm. There was no music, there was no guitars. So I had to create a character a little bit. I had to, and it worked. It struck a nerve with all the flyover states, which are pretty damn important in show business. They might not want to tell you that in LA, but that's where the bread and butter is, baby. Yeah, and I think that I kind of had to start from a little bit of a scratch mentality as being a serious entertainer and musician, because it was just a singing competition. So I think as the arc of my career goes, and I was it was funny. I was talking to Brett Favre a year ago, and he was telling me he's been a fan for a long time since Idol, and I've seen him, and he says that I remind him of a journeyman NFL player.
Wow.
I mean, and he was like, man, you've been on every freaking team that you just, I mean, I've gone through, and there's a lot of respect there, but I think my thing is that I think there's been an artistic credibility question for me, just from a general public perspective, and I think that my goal is to land on something that's really whether it be a role like Kramer, or something like that, or some sort of really quirky, something a new Ozark, or something that is it's typecasted close to my character in real life, in who I am in real life, but also is a great show or something. I feel like that's kind of like what's been missing for me, and I'm chasing after that right now.
It'll definitely happen for you, brother. Hey, thank you so much for your time. I cannot wait to see you this Saturday, City of Brookwood on the 14th. Show starts, the whole day starts at 5 o'clock. Open gates, it's free. They're going to have food trucks. They're going to have blow-ups for the kids. It's going to be a family-friendly thing. You're going to be taking the stage later on that night. I cannot wait to bring you up, and I can't wait to hang with you after the show. God bless. Yes. I love it. I love you, man. I'll see you soon.
All right, baby.
Thank you, bro.